Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, John Gomez. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting, Life Unscripted. We're so grateful to have you here today. How are you?
I'm doing well, and so thankful for you giving me the opportunity to be here.
You betcha. One thing that is a big problem for a lot of businesses out there, and you've helped businesses in the medical industry, but it's not just a problem for them. It's a problem for all businesses because everyone today has an online presence, and you want to protect yourself from cybersecurity. You are a cybersecurity expert, and you're going to share some of your great wisdom today to help our businesses protect themselves. Share with our audience a little bit about what brought you into cybersecurity to begin with.
Wow, great question. It's kind of a long journey. Way long ago, I actually wasn't the greatest kid in high school. So my homeroom teacher gave me the keys to the computer lab and said, if you're going to cut class, at least do something productive with your time. Taught myself how to program, which led to hacking. I left high school, eventually became a police officer, left law enforcement and went into the corporate world. Didn't really think I could make money with computers, but that kind of evolved. I've worked for Microsoft. I was the chief technology officer at WebMD and some other companies, some public companies, and then founded my current company in 2013, which is Sensato. And Sensato is focused on cybersecurity. So been doing that full-time and exclusively for the past several years.
How do you say the name of your business?
Sensato.
Sensato.
So, yep. It means simple in Spanish.
So, ooh, I like that.
Thank you.
So do you just help the medical industry with, who do you help with your business?
So we typically focus on what's known as critical infrastructure, which the Department of Homeland Security defines 16 sectors as critical infrastructure sectors, but we also don't turn anybody away. I mean, we've worked with a variety of different companies from very small to extremely large, but typically it's corporate healthcare organizations, government, things of that nature.
Yeah, and it's a big thing. A number of years ago, one company I like a lot who's in the aviation industry had a online simulator that a lot of their customers used. And what ended up happening one time, they were hacked and it destroyed their whole website. They didn't have a good backup of everything. Everything crashed. They lost a lot of customers due to that. And so, besides losing money, we've heard of cyber threats with even some of the credit card companies and stuff. So it's something that can affect everyone, whether you think your particular website will be, in trouble because maybe you don't have a business, businesses you work with could be in trouble, and that will indirectly affect everyone.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I mean, whether it's in the business side of the world or you're an employee and your employer gets hacked and now your financial data gets taken, or even as an individual. I mean, I think the latest stat I heard was that there's a cyber attack, successful cyber attack every 3 seconds in the United States. Mm-hmm. It is also something many people don't know is cybercrime is the largest transfer of wealth in human history. Above and beyond anything else. So it's an extreme. I mean, there was just a group last year that was doing ransomware attacks. And I believe in 1 year, they retired with somewhere in the neighborhood of $51 million by carrying. So it's a very serious problem. And that's just on the criminal side. When we think about things like cyber spies or cyber warfare, it takes on a whole new meaning. We've seen assassinations carried out in China based on hacks that have occurred here in the United States because people have been accused of spying. So it's a very deep, I tell people it's like living a Jason Bourne movie.
Wow. You don't know how deep it goes. And this is interesting. Tell me, see, I, for years, have worked in the corporate America where I was a collector. I would go after their cash, rightly owed by clients to this company. And what ended up happening, I had one customer that somehow got away. He didn't have a business anymore, but he owed us money. So, I would run checks on all the social media for their name. And this guy came up on Facebook 5 years prior. He had posted a post telling all his friends not realizing, put it public, come to my house for drinks. Here's my phone number and my address, his home address. Well, I went and sent him a little letter to his home address and gave him a little call on his home number that he left and said, hi, I'm from so-and-so. You did business with us. You didn't really pay us. Well, could you give me a call back? And oh my gosh, he was so scared. He was white when he called me. He's like, where'd you get my information? I'm like, Facebook, dude, you put it there 5 years ago.
Yeah. It's interesting. We speak, talking about how can organizations protect themselves. I mean, social engineering, or what we call open source intelligence, which is just the ability to gather information about companies or individuals through social media is such a big tactic. One example we give is often human resources will post jobs, right? And they'll say, we need somebody with 3 years of experience in this, that, or the other thing, which is fine. But when you get really specific, so if I said you need, 3 years of experience with Windows 7, well, now I know your organization runs Windows 7. I know it's end of year, right? I mean, end of life. Microsoft's no longer supporting it. So it allows me to fingerprint the organization much in the same way. And, same thing happens when we see cyber attacks against organizations, wire transfer attacks.
Yeah.
Where the CEO posts that, hey, I'm going on vacation with my family. We've seen situations now where people are impersonating voices off of voicemail. So they'll listen to the voicemail, they'll pick up the pattern that you leave on the voicemail. They figure out you're going on vacation through Facebook or something else. They then call somebody in your company, acting as the CEO, and telling them to transfer money. And it's very, very effective. I mean, it's told up into the millions of dollars where people have fallen for these emergency wire transfer situations.
So that's amazing to me. So you can actually imitate a pattern of someone's voice and it'll sound just like them. People believe it?
Yeah, they'll pick it up off the voicemail. They may call the individual a few times. He'll answer the phone, or she'll answer the phone, or they'll watch a video of them that they've posted, either from a company event or personal event. They'll pick up the voice and they'll imitate it and go back. And that's kind of at the most sophisticated level, but we are seeing that grow. I mean, it's a very, the sophistication level and the audacity of the attackers when I lecture to organizations is something, and board of directors and things like that. I often try to get them to understand that we're no longer dealing with somebody that's in somebody's basement who eats chili and drinks too much Jolt soda, right? That's not who's hacking you today, right? These are cyber criminal organizations that, I'll give you an example. We recently, in the past 2 years, we know now that cyber criminal organizations are openly recruiting in European campuses. And parents are actually encouraging their kids to go work for these groups because their starting salaries are comparable to Apple or Google or Microsoft. You're getting full benefits, full vacation, but the skill set that they acquire is amazing. But for the cyber criminal organization, they're now recruiting people with masters and PhDs in computer science. So the sophistication level is really, really evolved from what we saw even 5 years ago.
Now, I'm curious from that end, the back end, do the people who get recruited, do they know they're committing cyber crimes, or are they just getting a job being told, go do this, and they kind of niche where they don't even, I'm curious.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'm not, and all the times I've lectured on this, nobody's asked. It's a great, great question. And I think it's about 3 years ago, we saw that it was more cloak and dagger. People didn't know. Now it's much more in the open. I mean, they have tables set up in college recruiting fairs, and so the campuses know who these people are, and they are very open about it, which kind of speaks a lot to the moral ethics of people going to work for these groups.
Wow.
I think that one of the problems with cybercrime is that most people think it's victimless until you're the victim. So it's, well, I'm not hurting the individual, but you are. But yet, it's not a physical crime in most cases.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what I want to get you to share with the audience is the sharing of information. In this age where sharing information is so easy, like I talked about that guy who invited people to drinks on Facebook. Yeah, I don't think he realized he wasn't just talking to his Facebook friends. It was public. He had his page public, so anyone could look at it. He was revealing, he doxed himself in a sense. People could just come to his house. Oh, I found out on Facebook, you live here. How could people better protect themselves? Like, it's great having social media and these online sites, but they have to realize, both companies and individuals, that the information you share online stays online and could be used against you.
Yeah, for sure. I think it starts on multiple levels. One is on a personal level, is thinking about what you just said. How much of the information you have is public versus private? Are you sharing it with people that are on your friends list who you know? Are you doing the whole, it's okay for friends to share things with their friends, and you don't really know who they are? So I think it starts with the personal. On the other side of that, on the corporate side, it's really having some awareness, some key awareness that this is going on. And even if you're not the target, you can become the pivot. One thing we're starting to see a lot of is supply chain attacks, where really the organization being targeted by the attackers isn't their ultimate goal, but they know that you do business. For example, you may say you run a facilities organization, or you're doing fleet management, or you're doing electrical business, but they know that your customer is a larger organization, and they really want that organization The easiest thing to do is target the small company who probably doesn't have the same level of defense, and then what we call a pivot from there into the larger organization. So whether you have what's of value to the attacker ultimately or not isn't the question. Is the real question is, can you be, a stepping stone to the ultimate objective of that attacker? And I think the awareness and understanding that you very well, regardless of who you are, the chances are that you will be targeted at some point.
Yeah. I mean, even individually, I was targeted last year going online to look for an apartment in New York where I saw, well, this is the clue to me being in business for so long. If something looks too good to be true, usually it is.
Right.
And there was a wonderful new listing of an apartment in Soho for a price that seemed unusual. Now, it's not impossible for rent stabilization pockets, here and there. So I just reached out. But the moment, the first contact where I'm in, I'm in Spain right now and my friend can drop off the keys and you give him the money for, no.
Right.
Within one conversation, I was like, okay, this is false. This is a scam.
Yeah.
But for individuals and also businesses, how can they better protect themselves to understand the more slick ways that people are scamming and hacking into businesses?
There are some amazingly free, great resources. One of the things I think the government is doing well and applying our tax dollars is around cyber, but just a lot of people don't know about it. So one group I would tell them to go check out is if you go to cyber.nj.gov, there's a group called the NJCCIC. And I won't go into what that all means.
Okay.
Point is, anybody can subscribe on their website. And you can be from any state, even though it's a New Jersey focused resource, but they have people from all around the world. And they will send out threat intelligence on a monthly basis. You get amazing newsletters telling you what's going on and what to look for. It's really worth doing. Second thing is the federal government. If you Google NCCIC, that organization is a federal agency, and they do a bunch of free things, from free threat assessments, risk assessments. Some of the programs they offer are free phishing attacks to see if your employees will click or open an email that they shouldn't. I believe they're also doing free web scans to see if there's vulnerabilities. But some of these common, simple things really can pay off. And then, the thing is to do them like anything else, right? Like change your smoke detector batteries. You should be doing, a once a year kind of risk assessment of your organization. And, you don't have to spend a ton of money on it, but it is worth doing and protecting yourself.
Wow, John, I think it was 2 years ago, I was working for a company and they're getting more slick, like you mentioned. There was a company that came through and I had a client that said, click here, and it wasn't my client. They had somehow taken his email address. Everything on top looked the same. The bottom of the email signature looked the same. It said, click here. We have a payment ready for you. Of course, I deal in taking payments. So I said, great. The minute I got to that screen, they asked for my personal information. I was like, why are they asking for that? They know my number. But the minute I saw that, the tech department was like, don't put anything in there.
Yeah, it's, and now that we're actually getting towards the holidays, those type of attacks become more prevalent, right? Telling you that your Amazon package is going to be delayed, or that FedEx wasn't able to drop this off and you need to confirm your address. Those kind of things will increase over the holidays. So it's an important time to be vigilant.
Yeah.
So I think also there's now this combination of what we call cyber physical attacks. Which are situations where people are using much of what you said, like social engineering, looking on Facebook and seeing things like, well, what type of car you have. Are you going away for the Thanksgiving holiday? And then targeting you. And we're seeing criminal organizations here use that information to kind of further their ability to carry out physical attacks. So it's the awareness is, I think, how they operate helps you set up, helps you consider how you should defend yourself.
Absolutely. Well, if there are any business out there at all who wants to get the protection of your company, how can they do that?
The easiest way is to email us or email me directly, just john.gomez, Gomez, at Sensato, sensato.co, not .com, but .co. That's typically the easiest, or visiting our website, sensato.co.
Can you spell that just for anyone who?
Sure. sensato.co.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. This has been such a wealth of knowledge that I know will get businesses thinking about how to protect themselves better on the cyber world and internet world. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
If you like this episode, please share. To hear more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to lifeunscriptedradio.com. To become a guest or participate in paid sponsorship, email us at Christina@lifeunscriptedradio.com.